Okay, it's Sunday again, and right, so we've got a game lined up, and I'd love to say it was the new Warriors of Chaos with the new book, which I've pre-ordered and was hoping to get Saturday, but unfortunately it didn't turn up. So I still have the bug for playing Warriors of Chaos, so I've in fact brought out the old book for one last run in a 2,400 point game against size Ogres. He's quite a refined list, and this is my well, it's my first Warhammer army really, first proper one. So it's mostly all painted, apart from the Sorcerer Lord, who I never got round to painting, and the War Shrine, which I never quite got round to finishing. But yeah, other than that, so it's Warriors of Chaos versus Ogres. It's the Battle Line mission, 2,400 points, and I'll run you through my list. I have 5 Marauder Horsemen, they're naked. A Hell Cannon, a Chariot, unmarked, 17 Khorne Warriors with halberds. Couldn't afford the 18th guy, just as a smaller game than I used to play. I used to play 3,000 with this army, that's why it was a little bit of a squeeze to get it all into 2,400. Got 5 dogs. 40 Khorne Marauders with great weapons, who I hear are sounding their death knell. It doesn't sound like they're going to be much use in the new book, so we'll sort of get one last use out of those. We have a War Shrine, unmarked, Tzeentch BSB on a disc, 8 Tzeentch Knights with a Khorne Exalted Hero on a Juggernaut. Got 5 Marauders naked, and a Sorcerer Lord on a disc with those little goodies. So that's it. And now I'll hand you over to Si, see what he's got in his army.
Okay, well, again, I'm sizably outnumbered, although it's usually fairly shocking to be outnumbered quite so bad against Warriors of Chaos. Because back in the day I used to play my Skaven against him. Unfortunately, this army totals 38 models, which is less than one of his units, the Marauders. So should be interesting. And yeah, as Ollie's pointed out, Marauders seem to have had a bit of a nerf this time around. But then again, they're for the same price as a Clan Rat, you get a guy who's infinitely better. So yeah, things have changed. It makes me wonder whether they're going to do the same to Skaven, and whether my Hellpit Abomination goes the way of the bin. But Ogres, for the time being, are here to stay. So this is the army. We have 2 Saber-Tusks on my right flank. Then I have a Iron Blaster, 4 Mournfang with all the trimmings, including a Crusher. Then I have 13 Iron Guts. This is led by BSB and my Slaughtermaster, who is level 4. Over here we have a unit of 6 Man-Eaters. They are basically, the front rank are armed with extra hand weapons. No point giving the back rank extra weapons. And then we have 6 Lead Belchers occupying the building. And then we have a solitary Saber-Tusk over here on my right flank. I deployed first and got +1, and I won the dice off. So we will see you at the end of Ogre's turn 1.
Okay, so it's the end of well, in fact, it's the end of the magic phase in turn 1 for the Ogres, and so it's conceded. Basically, he cast a spell.
Cast Fire Arrow, got it through.
And cast Ball Gorger on his dudes. Rolled a double 6. Obviously got it through. Rolled a 5. I used Infernal Puppet. Knocked it down to a 2. He dimensionally cascaded, sucked his general into the void on the first turn, and got pretty demoralised and conceded, which I probably would have done as well.
My note, that's the third time in 5 games of Fantasy Battle that's happened.
Yeah. So
fuck you, lot.
Yeah. He doesn't have any tolerance for that anymore, which is understandable. But yeah, so Infernal Piper did its job. But to be honest, even if it hadn't have done that, it was still a 5, which is a big blast. A strength 10 hit to just about everyone in the unit is not a very good way to start the game. So we're going to start again.
Okay, it's the end of Ogres turn 1. The Saber Tusks, you can see on the left flank, moved up. My Mournfang and the Guts and the Man-Eaters all moved up. While these guys just occupied the building. Magic Phase, well, the less said about it the better. However, let's just say Ollie managed to win before he even rolled the dice. So onwards and upwards. Basically, we did the Magic Phase again, and I cast a couple of spells: Spine Marrow and Ball Gorger. Then in the shooting phase, it was pretty miserable. My lead belchers shot at the Marauder Cavalry, 18 shots, so it was below average. 4 hits, below average, and 1 wound, very below average. So that was pretty seriously terrible rolling. And then to cap it off, I fired my cannon, aiming at the lovely Exalted Champion on a Juggernaut. Yeah, sorry, I think it was his name. And rolled a bloody misfire, didn't I? But thankfully rolled a 6, so it just splidges in this direction. So yeah, it's nothing too serious at the moment. Pretty terrible turn for me. There's not much else that can be said about that. So it is on to Chaos turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of Chaos turn 1. Charge wise, I charged the Chariot into the Saber Tusk. So I elected to flee. Unfortunately, I only rolled a 4. And I rolled 17 in total and managed to catch him. So I'm all the way over there out of the line of sight of those Mournfang, which is nice. And that's probably the fastest chariot I've ever seen. The Hell Cannon managed to pass its roll, so it was able to shoot this time. Then in the movement phase, I just kind of moved things up, get my chaff in place to redirect and be annoying. These guys just moved up to get out of the line of sight of that Saber Tusk. And other than that, it's pretty much as you see it. Then in the magic phase, I only rolled 5, so I got 3 dispel dice. Started off the Baleful Transmogrification, thought I'd slot a Saber Tusk. Got it through, so I didn't want to dispel it, because it's like, whatever, it's just a Saber Tusk. So I had to make a leadership test, and rolled 4. So I didn't take any wounds, which is really annoying. But then I managed to cast Infernal Gateway. So I rolled these 3 dice to try and dispel it. I got it through, which was lovely. His Man-Eaters and rolled 6 strength 4 hits and only managed to get a single wound, but he did thankfully fail to save it, so I did a single wound to those guys, which was nice. Then the shooting phase, my Warshrine gave my Knights +1 to their armour, using Favour of the Gods to manipulate a little bit. And under this, the old book, the Warriors Chaos book, you're actually allowed to have a 0+ save, so I took that because might as well make the use of it, because it's the last time I ever get to do it. And then the Hell Cannon decided to start thinning out some Iron Guts, so I fired at them. It's directed over his Slaughtermaster. Slaughtermaster passed the Lookout Sir, as I got a direct hit. So did the BSB. I failed to wound with a strength 10 shot, which was really annoying. But then with all the splash damage effectively, I then did 6 wounds and killed 2 Iron Guts outright. He passed his panic test from the Hell Cannon special rules. So that unit will live to see another turn, which is rare. And that was the end of my turn. So see you at the end of Ogres turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Ogres turn 2. The advance sort of halted a little bit, as I wasn't too keen to get redirected by the chaff. So I held in place, and everyone just sort of shuffled back. The chariot moved. Sorry, the Iron Blaster moved around to get a shot off at the chariot, and my lone saber tusk up here on the right flank, he edged up to attempt to scare the Zinch sorcerer a little bit. But yeah, basically, magic phase, I rolled a 3, got troll guts off. Then in the shooting phase, I rolled a massive 26 hits, or sorry, 26 shots against the Marauder Cavalry. Got 10 hits and 7 wounds. So, you know, I wiped those out. That was quite nice. And then the cannon, it opened up on the chariot, hit it, wounded it. Unfortunately, only did 2 wounds. Annoyingly, the dice that I used managed to roll 4 2s in a row, which was particularly annoying. But I did kill a Marauder Cav as well. So yeah, not bad shooting phase. Would have been nice to have wiped the chariot out, but yeah, you know, I've got rid of one of the chaff units blocking my advance, and you know, I'm pretty happy with that overall. So yeah, we'll go to Warriors of Chaos, turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Warriors of Chaos turn 2. Charge wise, I don't think I charged anything. No, I didn't. Then just moved some stuff around. These guys just moved out the arc of the Saber Tusk. Chariot just turned. These guys got in the grill of the Mournfang. These guys just moved up. My wizard moved away from the Saber Tusk, fearing for his life. And the knights just moved up a little bit, just out of range of any maximum charge they may take, just to be safe. And that was it for movement. Then the magic phase, I rolled a paltry 3. Was it 4? No, I think I got 4. So I got 3 dispel dice. So I threw them all at gateway to try and kill some Mournfang, but so I managed to dispel it with a huge dispel, and I only rolled just enough to cast it. So then in the shooting phase, I decided not to give them another blessing, 'cause I quite like that one. And my hell cannon fired at the man-eaters, killing 2 of them. I got a direct hit, did 2 wounds, and then did another 4 or 1, or I don't know, but 2 died basically. I think there was already a wound on the unit, so it must have been 5 in total. Yeah, so that was pretty good. They passed their panic test though from the Hell Cannon special rule. So that was it. So it's the end of Warriors of Chaos turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Ogres turn 3. Basically, I need to get rid of some chaff, so I moved out the lead belchers out of the building to get them within range. I had to shuffle the man-eaters back slightly. The Mournfang just turned, so they weren't receiving a flank charge from the chariot should I fail to kill it. Then the chariot moved around to shoot the chariot. Basically, in the magic phase, I rolled a 10. I managed to get Ball Gorger and Spy Marrow off. And then came the shooting phase, which was quite possibly the most annoying shooting phase I've ever had. Because I rolled 17 shots, I got 10 hits, so I was thinking, yes, that's wiped out that unit. I needed 3s to wound, and as you can see, bearing in mind I had 10 hits, I rolled 9 hits, so I rolled 8 1s and 2s and a 6. So yeah, that was particularly annoying. And then to make matters worse, this shot at the chariot, I rolled a 2 for the first bounce, I then rolled a 4 for the second, which put it 3/4 of an inch away. Now Ollie pointed out that I do indeed get a re-roll, which I did, and I rolled a 2. So yeah, it basically, just magic doesn't work, close combat doesn't work. I don't think I should play Warhammer at all. I don't think I
shouldn't take cannons.
I just don't think I should play anything that involves dice.
So these are essentially cannons as well, so it's just a cannon thing.
But yeah, it was that was pretty hideous because I mean that really and truly should have been a dead chariot and like dead chaff. So yeah, that was very 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 annoying. So yeah, that is me slightly bollocksed for another turn. So yeah, it's on to Warriors of Chaos turn 3.
Okay, it's the end of Chaos turn 3. The Hell Cannon passed its check. Yeah, it did actually. And then charge-wise, I charged the Chariot into the Mornfang and just clipped them because of where the hounds were. And I charged the Knights into the Lead Belchers. And then that was pretty much it. That was it for charging. Then I just moved the rest of my army up. Sorcerer into a better position. This guy is just hanging out with the Marauders. And that was it. And then in the magic phase, I rolled 10 dice. No, sorry, I rolled 8, and then we got a channel. So the favoured number is inch 9. And with that, I cast a flickering fire on these boys, and managed to do 2 wounds to them. And then I threw 6 dice in Infernal Gateway, and on these guys, and did actually roll an 11 for strength, which would have ordinarily wiped them off the board. But we agreed pretty much while it was happening. It was my decision. It was my idea. Is instead of just removing it, we'd play it under, I think it's the ETC rules, where it just does automatic wounds rather than just removing the unit. So it ended up doing 11 wounds to him, rather than just removing the whole unit, which of course would have resulted in me winning instantly. So we didn't really want to see that. So we agreed to do that. I'm utterly fine with that because 11 wounds is pretty good. And Cy was fine with that because it meant it didn't lose the game. So yeah, it was a good call. But it was nice for my last showing of the old book to get an Infernal Gateway off. And consequently I managed to make use of my Infernal Puppet as well, because I rolled on the table, which would have been a strength 10 hit against me, with a 5, and I puppeted it up so it did a strength 10 hit to everyone around me. But not the wizard. So he actually got scot-free with that. So that was lovely. So he's happy. And then in the shooting phase, my Hell Cannon, glorious Chaos style, instead of shooting at the enemy and doing some ice cold sniping of characters, ate its crew and just chilled out. So a very chaotic turn. So all the little tricks and toys of 7th edition book coming into play in this game so far. It's been really nice. So looking pretty good for Chaos. And then in close combat, my Chariot, obviously with clip, managed to do 4 wounds to the Mornfang, 3 from impact hits and 1 from the Warriors on the back. He only managed to do a wound back to me, leaving my Chariot on 1 wound, but I consequently won the combat and he failed his break test. And fled because he rolled, I think it was like 10 and then an 11. So fled, luckily not off the board. I pursued, but hit into his Iron Blaster, so he's all right there. But for a Chariot with only 2 wounds on it, it's done pretty well so far. So I'm at least going to get some impact hits before it goes down, so that's nice. And then these guys ploughed into the Lead Belchers, did 7 wounds, so combat res of 10. Side didn't do anything, so he lost by a lot, but luckily he had the foresight to cast the Stubborn spell, I can't remember what it's called. Spine Marrow. So he held, so that was a really good call on his part, and I'm kicking myself for not dispelling it. But, you know, that's how it rolls. I'm rather dispel that Troll Guts anyway. So that's it. So it's the end of Chaos turn 3, and it's looking pretty tidy so far. Very nice. So we'll see what happens in Ogres turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of Ogres turn 4. Basically, I had to get a bit proactive. The Iron Guts and the Man Eaters both attempted to charge the Marauders. The Man Eaters unfortunately needed to roll an 11, although they did have Swift Stride, but they failed it. However, the Man Eaters, who needed an 8, managed to roll an 11. And got into combat with a nice ogre charge. So between impact hits and wounds, even though the wounds were below average, I managed to kill 14 guys and then get 2 stomps at the end, and then got some really, really lucky.
Yeah, he literally broke my steadfast by one guy.
Yeah, broke steadfast by 1, and then he did 10 wounds to me, and then I passed 8 of the regens because I had trial guts on. That kind of that did it. Unfortunately, I didn't catch him, but I only rolled a 6. So with the last remaining guy on 2 wounds and refusing to take that last one to die, it now means that I'm in the charge arc of a frenzied unit of Chaos Warriors. Unfortunately, over here, the Mornfang thankfully came back. They wheeled around, prepared to get into combat next time. However, in the other part of the close combat phase, this just kind of the chariot just smashed in. I made an awful lot of armor saves and managed to roll a double 1 hold fast, even though I should have fled off the board. So that's a bit lucky that sort of stayed in there. But rather annoyingly, that isn't going to be going anywhere for any time soon. So it's sort of swings and roundabouts really. Unfortunately, obviously in the last part of close combat, the lead belchers got their asses kicked. Even though Ollie rolled really badly, he managed to kill a lead belcher, and they scarpered. And then in the ensuing pursuit, he crashed into the flank of the man-eaters, who unfortunately, because they failed their charge, they were left out in the open. So they were a bit bollocksed. So it's quite annoying because kind of getting to the point where you might have lost 2 units in an attempt to kill some friggin' dogs, and you only managed to kill 1 of them. That's harsh. That's getting on for nearly a quarter of my army's worth to kill about 60 points worth of frickin' chaos dogs.
30.
But it hurts when we get the bad luck with ogres. It's not so bad with Skaven because you'd sit and let them eat through a unit of slaves. Yeah, who the crap cares? Yeah, go for it. You kill slaves all day long. But with ogres it's real harsh because them poor buggers are a lot of points. So not so great at the moment. But I'll just have to see what goes on, because it's now time for a Chaos turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of Warriors of Chaos turn 4. I charged the Khorne Warriors into the flank of the Iron Guts. My Hell Cannon obviously failed its Leadership 4 roll and attempted to go after the Saber Tusk, but didn't roll quite enough. These guys rallied, the Wolfswine didn't. Then I just moved this guy behind the Saber Tusk, fearing for my life. My Wizard moved up over behind the Knights, and these guys just moved out way of the Saber Tusk just because I couldn't really see use for them. Then in the Magic phase I rolled a fair number of dice, managed to get Flickering Fire and do I think 3 or 4 wounds to his lead belchers. Then I got Baleful Transmogrification, did another 3 wounds to his lead belchers, and then the guy with 2 wounds left got Infernal Gateway. So just because the Mornfang were about 1/10 of an inch out, so I couldn't quite reach those, so I just took it out on the lead belchers. So they're dead. Then in the shooting phase there was none because the shrine's gone and the cannon's raging. So then we went straight to close combat. We did this one first. I did loads and loads of wounds on his unit, none to his characters because, as he's pointed out, he has a Dragonbane gem on this guy and a Dragon Helm on this guy. And of course my guys have flaming attacks, so unfortunately for him, the same guy who screwed him over by allowing me to charge the unit also allowed me to attack the unit, and I did quite a few wounds to the unit, but he had the Stubborn Crown, so it didn't really have any effect. but he's looking at some orders in the front now. This for combat, I managed to kill one man-eater and do a few wounds for another one, but he's stubborn, and so he managed to hold again. So he's holding my knights up pretty effectively at the moment. The chariot died to the ogre on the back. Thankfully it was the ogre and not the nobbler, because that would have been really humiliating. Yeah, so the cannon, after 4 turns of shooting and close combat, managed to kill that chariot. So, but he does only have one wound left. And then that was pretty much it. So, yeah. So it's well, I don't know. I'll have to find out what happens at the end of Ogres turn 5.
Okay, it's the end of Ogre's turn 5. The Mornfang and the Iron Blaster moved up. The Magic Phase, I rolled very low. I got Trial Guts off though, which was rather nice. Then in Shooting Phase, I tried shooting at the Hell Cannon. It misfired and got randomly pointed in the wrong direction. Then Close Combat, I lost another couple of man-eaters. However, there was just a champion left, and like a legend, he managed to stab a Chaos Knight down and then hold, nice and stubborn. So he's at the moment sitting pretty, well, until Ollie's Close Combat phase. But yeah, he's doing his job and holding the line. So that's rather nice. Then over here, it was great. The tanking efforts of 2 characters, practically immune to fire, really paid off, because the Slaughtermaster got 6 wounds on him, and he saved 5, rolling a perfect Yahtzee +1. He only took 1. And then obviously the loss of regen for the turn didn't really make any odds, since that the only other character that could be attacked was BSB. He got 2 wounds on him and saved both. Then in response they attacked back, killed 2 Chaos Warriors, and then with their stomps killed another, which was just enough to force a break test. And Ollie rolled high. Fortunately, with his BSB being over here, they ran off. I unfortunately failed to catch them and get out of the charge arc of the Marauders, but I have at the very least got Trial Guts on, so it's not too bad. But things going reasonably well for me. It's now Warriors of Chaos turn 5.
Okay, it's in the Warriors of Chaos turn 5. It didn't go so well this time. Okay, so I did a complex amount of charging. I did the BSB into the back of his Sabertusk, and he held. The Marauders and the Hell Cannon charging the other Sabertusk. These Marauders charging the back of the Iron Guts, and they carried on fighting the Man-Eaters. Magic Phase, I managed to cast Flickering Fire and do 7 strength 2 hits to this unit, and actually did 2 wounds, because I rolled 2 6s and so I rolled 2 1s. And fortunately one of the guys only had 2 wounds, so he had to take a panic test. Thankfully he passed it. He was not too happy about that, which is fair enough. And then I cast Infernal Gateway, but he dispelled it, and that's pretty much it. I cast Call to Glory as well on this unit, turning one of them into an exotic hero. Not my best idea ever, but it was a bit of fun. So, so there was no shooting because the Hell Cannon is raging. So I went straight to close combat. The Knights killed the last Man-Eater, and my general challenged his captain, and they duked it out, but unfortunately I killed him before he got to strike, which is good, because it would have been quite humiliating. On the subject of humiliation, this guy charged into the back of a Sabertusk, and it's got charge, got all kinds of things, whiffed all his attacks. The disc whiffed its attack, which I don't normally have to attack with. Then the Saber-Tusk fought back and whiffed all his attacks and managed to hold, which is, well, that's just bad, isn't it? Yeah. This combat, between the Marauders and the Hell Cannon, I managed to do a wound to the Saber-Tusk.
You didn't do anything to the Saber-Tusk.
No, I did a wound with the Marauders, didn't I? Because you only have one wound left.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I did a single wound with one of these Marauders. The horses whiffed, which is unheard of. They normally kill everything. The Hell Cannon whiffed all its attacks, all of its Thunderstomp, because I rolled 2 for Thunderstomp, rolled double 1, which is nice. So yeah, so I only managed to beat him for combat res and managed to catch him through pursuing. So I didn't actually move those, but yeah, so he went. Then this combat, the Marauders, I challenged with my new exalted hero, so I accepted, and then tore him a new one. So he got 300 points for that spell. So that was it's just such a bad spell. Hopefully it's not in the new book. Just because that temptation to cast it's always going to be there. But yeah, it was unfortunately terrible. So he died, and then the Marauders only managed to do 4 wounds because obviously he still has Troll Guts up. And then he curb stomped the rest of my guys, and I've only got 9 left now, so they probably won't be coming back. They may rally, but they're certainly not going back into that unit because that's bad news. And that was pretty much it. So yeah, so that's the end of my turn 5, and I've got things running away all over the place now. So we'll see what happens in size turn 5. It's turn 6 even.
Okay, it's the end of Ogre's last turn, turn 6, and yeah, interesting things afoot. The Mournfang had to declare a charge really against the Marauders, as did the last of the Guts. The Guts obviously were pretty much all in, although I failed to get an Ogre charge, and the Mournfang unfortunately didn't roll high enough, so they just sputtered forward. The cannon then did, in fact, turn to face the sorcerer, but I'll get to that in a sec. In the magic phase, I got 7. I thought, well, I need to get some shit happening, so I rolled 5 dice, and I got a bubble toothcracker. So both the Mournfang and the Iron Guts got a +1 toughness buff, which is really nice. Unfortunately, then in the shooting phase, this misfired for the 3rd time this game. Not destroyed yet, but it's getting pretty close to being thrown out the window. This has absolutely been the turkey of the game for me. 6 turns. It's had 3 misfires, 2 shots that have done nothing, and a crappy round of close combat. It's probably the biggest waste of points in my army, which is really unfortunate considering everybody regards these as overpowered. So yeah, if you want to come and play me, then you won't think that. So yeah. Anyway, thankfully close combat came, and I managed to slaughter slaughter a few more corn guys. Although really annoyingly, he refuses to fucking not get caught. But I've beaten him 4 times in combat, and 4 times he's managed to get away from me. So it's getting a bit pissing annoying. Because basically I've lost the game because of that. I can't win, I don't think, at the moment. But yeah, it's been close. But just my inability to finish his units off has cost me the game. So more sort of luck, I think, or bad luck on my part than anything else. But yeah, so it's looking reasonably good. Hopefully, I can kill that Hell Cannon, get some more points. But yeah, that is basically how it finishes at the end of. Oh, and sorry, I should note that the hero finally succumbs to the battle standard bearer over there after 2 glorious rounds of combat. So yeah, that's the end of Ogre's turn 6.
So it's the end of Warriors of Chaos turn 6. The hero here attempted to charge into the Mornfang and they fled. This guy just chilled out. In fact, that was pretty much it for movement. Don't think I did anything else. Magic phase, I threw 2 dice at a flickering fire, and it was only strength 3, so I didn't actually manage to wound his cannon. Then I threw the rest of the dice at an infernal gateway, but he saved it by dispelling it. So didn't actually do anything to his cannon, much to his disgust, because he wanted it dead just as much as I did. Then in the close combat phase, because there was no shooting, my Khorne warriors got their asses handed to them and ended up fleeing. Did a fair number of casualties to the unit, but there was still 4 wounds of Iron Guts left. I'm sorry, this was last round, wasn't it? That they fled. Sorry. When he overran, he went into my Hell Cannon, so they fought that combat. And the Hell Cannon managed to get 5 hits, miraculously, and get 4 wounds, which was exactly enough to kill the rest of the Iron Guts, which costs dearly. Get back into that in a sec. In fact, that was everything actually. The Khorne warriors failed to rally and ran just about an inch off the board before the board edge, so they're still on there, much the size of Scust as well. So this close combat, I did 4 wounds, so I did 3. Unfortunately, I'm unbreakable, but those 4 wounds I did were just enough to kill the Iron Guts, handing me, what was it, like 600 points?
609 victory points.
609 points, which up until then, it would have been a draw, because so I got 657, and I got 701. Yeah, so the Hell Cannon won me the game. So I was not impressed with that, but it was pretty funny, because the Hell Cannon has a nasty habit of saving the day, usually when it goes on a blind rampage. Literally the last thing that happened in the game is what won me the game, so it was nice to see that. Simon might not think so. So overall, it was an awesome game. For the first 3 turns, I thought I was steamrolling him. Then he decided he was going to put up a fight, and did so pretty well, because he started kicking my ass. Took out the Marauders. In fact, his Gut Star performed like it's supposed to. It just kicked ass. Killed my Marauders, beat my Marauders twice in combat and sent them packing, even though they're overpowered. Sent my Khorne warriors off packing twice, even though they're not overpowered, but he kicked their ass twice. Then even decided to go into a Hell Cannon and do 3 wounds to that as well. So they did awesome. As for my units, I think really the man of the match and pivotal moment of the whole game was the dogs not dying. But that's not really due to them being good, it's just due to side firing cannons.
Firing lead belchers.
My man of the match is this guy. In fact, I'd say probably the most useful unit was probably the Hell Cannon, actually, because it was shooting stuff most of the game and managed to kill off those guys and win me the game. So kudos to him, I think. This guy is dummy of the match. Really can't even kill a bloody saber tusk after a rear charge. That's all he did the whole game. He didn't even provide a reroll to anyone, I don't think. So yeah, he's on my. He's not happy with him. As a whole, the army performed really well, I think. The Khorne warriors don't do so well against Iron Guts. It's just not a very good matchup. So to have Iron Guts in your front is never good, and Side pulled that off pretty nicely, so he sorted them out. So one of my main combat blocks really suffered against that. I love the Knights, they're awesome. I do need another one though to fill them up to the sacred number of Zinch. That's assuming Zinch Knights are just as good in this new book. We'll have to see. Overall pretty happy. I'm glad that Puppet played a part. Since obviously we were saying goodbye to that now. Infernal Gateway did its job. I think it's slightly different. I think it's quite similar though in its devastation if you roll a 11 or 12. But I'll have to find out. What else? The Hell Cannon. The Hell Cannon's in the new book anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's pretty good. So, can't think what to say now. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nice to have one last rollout with the army before using the new book. Besides, I dared to do that in the end because I was just sitting around being in a bad mood because my book didn't turn up. But yeah, so I'm glad I played them to give them one last try. Yeah, and I managed to pull off a win, only just, thanks to a hell cannon. So I'll hand you over to Si, see what he thinks of the game. Unfortunately, I'm plugged into a charger at the moment, so might not be the most dynamic lament that he's ever had. Right, there we go. Yeah, so I'll hand you over.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game. I was getting really worried at first. I wasn't able to get purchase on anything he had, and then, like Ollie said, all of a sudden it sort of swung about, and I started to get things going. It was pretty terrible rolling earlier on that really did it for me. I had to move the guys out of the building just to try and kill the dogs because the dogs were going to screw me over. The original plan was basically to thunder a massive assault at the Marauders, break their back, send them packing, like full on, wipe them out, reform to basically get a grip on his Khorne warriors, and then essentially use the man-eaters to try and hold up the cavalry and sort of whittle them down a bit. Unfortunately, Ollie getting them up to a 0+ armour save was really annoying because basically that's the only time you'll ever get a 0+ armour save in a game of 8th edition Warhammer, and it's only because the book always overrides the main game rules. So yeah, it's that's basically Phil Kelly's writing because most people would normally wouldn't have bothered with to put in brackets that it can take it to a 0+ based on the edition allowing a 0+ armour save. So yeah, we can put that down to some clever writing by Mr. Kelly, who unfortunately is quite a penchant for that. But yeah, it was a great game. I mean, over here I was really gutted with the hell cannon managed to finish the job. I mean, I sat there and I looked at it and I thought, well, you know, he's probably going to get like 3 or 4 hits, and then sort of, you know, 2 or 3 wounds at most, needing 4s. I thought, yeah, that'll do. I'll have some of that and I'll still survive. But yeah, unfortunately, I had different ideas because I think if I'd had the 2 guys left, if he'd not done enough to take any of the guts out, I might have been able to kill the thing, and then it might have been getting close for a win for me. But yeah, that was just a pain in the arse. It was very, very close right up until the end, and Ollie pulled it out of the hat. Yeah, rather annoyingly, but nonetheless, it was a great game. I've always liked playing against Warriors of Chaos. They're a tough army. I must admit, it's almost easier with Skaven, even though Skaven are absolutely piss poor in close combat. They've got just enough tricks to do it. Like I was really afraid of sending the guts into the big Marauder unit because I thought, oh god, they're going to get slaughtered, and they did take less than average casualties because I rolled exceptionally well and Ollie rolled exceptionally bad in that first close combat round. I mean, we're normally
troll guts on them as well. So.
Yeah. Normally I'd send with the Skaven nice horde of plague monks with a plague furnace. You know, that's the bane of all Marauders. But yeah, unfortunately here, my Ogres, they didn't get their asses kicked too bad by the Marauders, but it sort of still hurt, and yeah, I just couldn't finish them. I mean, had they gone the first time around, then I think things might have been a little bit different. But yeah, that's the way of things, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, really, it didn't go too bad for you, other than this flank just dying so horribly.
Yeah.
You know, after those lead belchers got killed, and then the man-eaters pretty much just got swallowed up by the knights, didn't they?
Because I'd thought with I'd thought here with the man-eaters that I could use. I knew I kind of how we were deploying. I sort of figured that the man-eaters would be best used to tank the knights for a bit. But I was hoping that I could maybe use the lead belchers to get a few wounds on the unit, and then use the man-eaters to put a few wounds on these guys as well, and just sort of hurt them up a bit. But the trouble is that naught up armor save just made it, because they're not. I just couldn't get purchase on him. I mean, they're hard enough to kill as it is, but yeah, with the naught up armor save, it was just particularly annoying. So I couldn't really do anything about that. And then just the flank crumbling so quicker than I expected. I wanted it to last. I wanted another turn before that happened. And I think if I'd got it, I think I might have been in a bit better situation.
I think it was due to me dispelling that second stubborn. Because you cast it again, didn't you? And I managed to dispel it, and you still had some dead belchers left after that combat.
Yeah.
Which potentially could have held.
Yeah. No. Well, that was kind of.
I mean, it's not down to you, but you know, you threw like 5 dice at it or something, didn't you? So, but it wasn't quite enough.
Yeah. But that's just the way it worked. I mean, not being able to catch any of his units as they fled, like these bloody Khorne warriors got away scot-free. They took a bit of a beating, but yeah, little buggers couldn't finish them off. Because, like I said, sort of, if you took those out of the equation and the hell cannon, which was so close to doing, then yeah, but things would have been a little bit different. But well, such is life. That's kind of the way it is. I really think the cannon for me is just the turkey of the match. It's absolutely diabolical. It failed at everything it did. I mean, it's very, very, very annoying to see a cannon underperform like that so badly. I mean, people take 2 of these and they regard them as cheesy. I mean, I regard them as pissing useless. So yeah, that's just the way it is for me, unfortunately. But yeah, it was some bright bits. The man of the match has to be the Gutstar unit. It did exactly what it had to do. It wrecked its way through 2 very powerful units, and
Twice.
Yeah, and to be fair, with a bit of luck the other way, would have killed that hell cannon and sort of had me home free. But yeah, it was just the way it went at the end.
It was nice that it was so close in the end.
Yeah.
Over the first couple of times, I thought I just had it totally. It was going really bad for you, but you pulled it out of the bag with your Gutstar.
Yeah, well, once it got into combat and actually started doing stuff, it was marvellous. And it kind of goes to show that once you've got once you kind of got through shooting. I mean, that's why orcs and goblins are, I think, so great these days, because they have a unit that can put out the damage like the old school Khorne Marauders. They put better than the old school Khorne Marauders. But they've also got the shooting to back it up. So with Chaos, they don't tend to wear their opponent down before they get there. They just have to face it.
Yeah.
It'd be quite interesting just to see if you could play yourself with Chaos versus Orcs and Goblins. I think that'd be a bit of a crazy battle. But yeah. Yeah, it was a good game, and I think Ollie's going to be away in Wales, wandering around the nice mountainsides around there. So it'll give him plenty of time to think up new ways of using this lovely new book that Mr. Cruddance has written for him. So I'll be waiting in with bated breath to see what happens. Although I suspect the Nurgle theme might strongly come into play based on some things we heard last night. So. Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. I think it was a good game, and we will see you next time for more things where hopefully I'll have a little bit better luck.